Today, with the help of Hashem, we'll learn the last part of the Maimer, והתהלכתי בתוככם, that was said by the Rebbe on Shabbos Parshas B'chukoisai Mevorchem Sivan Tafshin Yud Aleph. What we've learned until now is about the two ways that the top and the bottom can connect, that the higher and lower can connect. As the mashal, the analogy of one person on top of the mountain and the other in the bottom of the mountain, either the one on the bottom climbs up or the one on top climbs down. And another point in the analogy is regarding a king, the way he reveals himself to his people. Usually, there's a total separation between the king and the people. The king is on top. He's higher. He's above and beyond the people. Totally removed in status from any other person in the kingdom, including the highest minister, etc. More than that, a regular person, the regular citizens, never get to see the king, never get to come into the king's inner chambers, never get to come into the king's palace at all. When it comes a time that a regular person, the king decides for whatever reason, as an exclusion, as a difference, and an exception from the rule, that now this person is going to come in and see the king. He prepares himself first for months. He gets ready. He needs to put on special garments, special clothing. He needs to be prepared in the etik, the palace etik, how to behave in front of the king. He comes in to the capital city. From there he goes on and he's led further into the palace, and he waits and he prepares himself some more until he goes into the king's inner chamber, until finally he gets into the throne room and he has his few moments with the king where he's standing in total awe because of the fact that he's actually in close proximity to the king. He had to prepare himself. He had to be in this special state that as long as he's standing in front of the king, he doesn't just speak whatever he wants to. He's standing now in front of the king. Then on the other hand, there's a time when the king decides he wants to come out to the people. He then comes out to the entire nation. He comes outside wearing his royal garments, his royal crown and his royal robes. And he reveals himself to everyone. Anyone can stand there. They don't have to wear special clothing in order to be there. They don't have to prepare themselves in order to be there, at least not to the same extent as the one who's having a private audience with the king. And yet, there is a certain type of preparation that is still necessary. You can't just come in jeans and t-shirts. You're standing in front of the king. But it's totally not comparable to the preparation of the one who's having a private audience with the king. The king then reveals himself to everyone. There isn't the same intimate feeling of connection, and there isn't the same awe as the one who walks into the king's inner chamber, and yet at the same time, the people are still overawed and standing in trembling and standing in awe before the king, although not at all in the same way as the ones who come to the king himself. And there's a third aspect, which is sort of like a mixture of both, but beyond both of them. And that's when the king decides that he wants to go out to the people, and he wants to actually mingle with the people. He takes off his crown, he takes off his royal robes. He dresses like a simple farmer. If someone wouldn't know that it's the king, he'd have no way of knowing the difference between the king and a regular person. The king mingles with the people, talks to them, chills with them, as we all know the mashal of the month of Elul. The king is now in the space of the people, and without thinking too much, a regular person doesn't even feel the awe. He can speak, he can ask, he can talk as much as he wants to the king. These three levels, these three aspects, we can see them throughout history. We can see them in the essence of creation. The closest analogy that we have to this is those who knew what it means to go into Yechidus by the Rebbe. You prepared yourself. You didn't just walk in. When the Rebbe came out to say a Sikha, the person also prepared himself. He's standing in front of the Rebbe. But yet the preparation's in a different type. A Rebbe is the one who reveals godliness into this world. And in a sense, we have this also with the difference between the Baal Shem Tov and the Rabbeim of Chabad. The Baal Shem Tov came into this world, it was godliness personified, godliness was revealed. The Baal Shem Tov, it says, was able to bring Yira Ilah, the supernal, the greatest awe of Hashem into even a child, a one-day-old child, and to the extent it says that the Baal Shem Tov could bring Yira Ilah even into a daimim, into a rock, into a stone. He can bring that over awe, the realization of Hashem's presence. When the Baal Shem Tov would daven, the animals, the Balei Chayim, the animals around would stand on 2 feet from the godliness that was felt all around from the davening of the Baal Shem Tov. This was a revelation of godliness into a world which was a dark world at the time, and Hashem sent down the neshama of the Baal Shem Tov to reveal godliness from above. And yet that didn't yet change the world. That brought the ability to change the world. Along came the Alter Rebbe and the Rabbeim of Chabad, and they taught people how to serve Hashem, how to climb the ladder on one's own. They used that great light of the Baal Shem Tov and taught people now how we can lift ourselves up in order to come closer to Hashem. And in this way, there's the idea of the revelation of the Oira Soviv Kol Almin, the light and energy, the godly energy that's above the world, which is revealed in the world, but it doesn't become internalized within the world. So on one hand, it's a much greater light. When a person climbs on their own, there's a limit how far they can go. One can only reach Mimale Kol Almin, the godly light that's connected to the world, because it's a person down here who's coming up. With Soviv Kol Almin, it's a much greater, more powerful light, but it doesn't become internalized within the world. And this is the difference between the two levels of from above and from below. From above, it's a much more powerful light, but it doesn't change the person, and that's why he didn't even have to prepare himself to the same extent. And yet from below, it's dependent on the person's doing, and therefore he prepares himself, but he only reaches the level because it's his level, it's his entrance, it's his yechidus, it's his connection, and therefore he connects only to the amount and the level that he's able to connect. Then we have a third thing. We have a third type of avodah. There's the avodah from above. Like when the Rebbe was telling us siches and mamarim and farbrengen, giving us light, inspiring us from above. Then suddenly came Chavches Nisan Tafshin Nun Aleph, and the Rebbe said, I've done all that I can, now it's up to you, do everything you can. But the Rebbe still continued to farbreng and to say mamarim and siches. The light of above didn't stop, but we were given now a mission to connect to it from below. We had to work in order to bring it and internalize it. We were told it's up to you, you have to do it. Then there's a third type. And the third type is perhaps the time in today's day, in our time, we don't see the Rebbe with our physical eyes. A person decides he's going to the Rebbe, he doesn't feel that awe, he doesn't feel that great yearning, he doesn't feel the great light. That's like the king that comes to speak to the people. He takes off his crown, he takes off his royal robes, he chills with the people. And yet the essence of the king is there because this is what the king wants. The king wants to connect with his essence to the people. The people don't feel it. But it all becomes one. And this is the example, as we mentioned yesterday, of the idea of Torah and mitzvahs after Matan Torah. We don't feel the fire, we don't feel the thunder and lightning. It's in the physical world, but that's where the essence of Hashem is revealed. We're connecting to the essence of what everything is all about. And yet, even there's still a separation. So in both of these earlier levels, certainly there's a difference. It comes from above, it doesn't become internalized. It's a light which is above the world. It's called Sovev Kol Almin. From the very fact that we call it Sovev Kol Almin, the light that's above the world, that means that it has a connection to the world, but its connection is in a way of negative, that it doesn't become included, it doesn't become accepted in the world. Because it's, in the end of the day, a light and an energy, it's not the essence, and therefore it's a separate thing to the world, it's connected to the world in a negative way, and that's why even for that there has to be some type of preparation. Like the light of Matan Torah that needed the preparation of Smiras HaOmer, and yet it was still a light that came from above and made the world feel like it doesn't exist. Then there's the light that comes from below where the person's working, but how far can a person reach? He's climbing up. He's climbing up, but how far he doesn't, it's now more internalized in him, but there's the work of getting there, and he can only get as far as he was able to work for. The third aspect is there's still a separation, because there's still the king and the people. We're still two separate things. The connection becomes stronger, the connection is more powerful. One doesn't only reach till a certain level, and on the other hand it becomes internalized. But yet in the end of the day it's still not the very essence, because there's still two separate things. And in order to explain this more, the Rebbe explains the four things that we say on Shabbos. There's nothing that can compare to you. There's nothing that's within the worth, within any type of comparison, within any type of evaluation close to you in this world. There's nothing but you in the Olam Haba, in the world to come. There is nothing besides for you in the time of Mashiach. And there's nothing compared to you. The Rebbe says here we have an interesting thing. The two levels of Olam Haba and Yemaisa Mashiach are both Ein Daima Lecha, are both Ein Zulasecha, which means there's nothing but you. The realization of the world that the world doesn't exist. Efes Biltecha is even deeper. In the time of Mashiach, not only is it nothing, it's Efes, total zero. But then we have Olam Hazeh and Tchias HaMeisim, which both of them is Ein Aroich and Ein Doimalach, which means there is something else, it just can't be compared to you. And because the truth is that Olam Hazeh and Tchias HaMeisim are both the same idea, except that in Olam Hazeh it's not yet revealed, and in Tchias HaMeisim it's revealed. What's Tchias HaMeisim? When the neshamas come back into the bodies. In Olam Haba and in Yemaisa Mashiach, there's two separate things. There's the spiritual and the physical. They're separate, and the physical feels how I don't exist. In Olam Hazeh, there's godliness which is one within the physical world, and in Tchias HaMeisim, it's the revelation of that godliness within the physical world, where godliness and the physical world are all one. Even in Tchias HaMeisim, that means in the level of Tchias HaMeisim, which is still connected to Yemaisa Mashiach, it says that when Mashiach comes, everyone will know Hashem from the small till the big, which means there's still differences. Not everything's one. Whereas in the ultimate revelation of the time of Mashiach, everything becomes one. The Creator, the creation are all totally one. And Mr. Hashem, although we finished the essence of the Maimer, we still have to explain a little more. So B'ezras Hashem, tomorrow we'll continue to explain this idea of how it all becomes one.